welcome to Bill Borden's Memorial. We are blessed to have you all with us today, and wait a second. We'll have Bill's grandkids speaking today on his behalf, and that'll be exciting.
They're
raring to go. Yep. We have two that sent in videos because they're long distance, so we'll watch those at a certain point. And we have the slideshow. We included a lot of good slides. If you watch that, you may see your face there. There's a guest book. Enjoy drinking food afterwards and tell your favorite memories of Bill. Thank you for coming today. We have Gavin Key that's going to be filming the celebration today, so you can say anything you want to him. And just remember, Dan, Cindy, and I have editing rights on anything that's said. All right, Sin, I think you have a little poem for us, maybe? Yeah.
Hold on, I think I forgot my glasses, damn it. All right. I just had kind of a nice poem called Ascension. It's called, if I go while you're still here, know that I live on, vibrating to a different measure behind a thin veil you cannot see. You will not see me, so you must have faith. I wait for the time when we can soar together again, both aware of each other. Until then, live your life to its fullest. And when you need me, just whisper my name in your heart, and I will be there. All right. So now, we're going to start with a film. We'll start with
Hey everyone, this is Chase and Katrina.
Hey.
We're out in Colorado. Really wish I could be with you guys on this day. Just wanted to say a few things about Gramps. Just always remember him being there to support us and taking us around on different adventures, whether that was to Twinkletown or up Mount Monadnock, picking blueberries and going to Sheep's Rock. And I was really thankful the past couple of years when he was living with Tasha to go over and take him out to eat once a week and just have one-on-one time with him. And one of the memories that really stuck out to me that I thought was pretty funny, I think he took us to Sheep's Rock one day, and I was really young. It was before I was really comfortable swimming, and I changed into my bathing suit out in the woods, and I think all my cousins, I think everyone was there, Jay, Kayla, maybe Tasha, and Justin and Alicia. I saw the older cousins cross the river and to the other side, and I wanted to join them, and I dragged all my clothes with me, and I dropped my underwear in the river, and it went down the stream into the swimming hole and sunk down to the bottom. And I was absolutely mortified that someone would see my underwear, and I was pleading with Kayla to go and dive down and retrieve them for me. And she was all grossed out, and I'm pretty sure Grandpa stepped in and made her do it for me. But just thought that was kind of funny, reminiscing. But just wanted to say I love you all, and I hope you're all doing well, and wish I could be there. Love you. Bye.
Oh, how wonderful to see you. Everyone here is just so wonderful. This is what Grandpa would be saying to every single one of you today as you walked into the room. He truly was thrilled by being around people, and you all were his favorite to be around. Towards the end of his life, as we all know, dementia started to take over Grandpa's ability to remember who was who. But it took until the very end for the dementia to take his will of excitement, his desire to connect with each of us, and his desire to be in the room as we all shared a meal. Growing up, I had two grandparents, my mother's mother and my father's father, Bill Borden. and I thought that was how every family worked because it was how my family worked. In fact, I would look upon my friends' families with 4 grandparents with utter shock that their grandparents were getting around so much. I am joking, of course, but all jokes aside, I questioned the multitude of grandparents that others had because I never once questioned that I was lacking. The 2 that I had were in attendance to every sporting event, theater production, graduation, celebration, and dinner they were asked to attend. When I was in preschool, my favorite days became the ones in which Grampy would be waiting for me in his silver Chevy outside with the crank-up windows. After picking me up, we would go to Penelope's consignment in the center of Keene, and he let me choose whatever picture books I wanted. When we got back to his home on Castle Court, we would put the books on top of the coffee table that was flooding underneath with stacks of past books we had already read. He would make me some SpaghettiOs, and then I would sit on his lap while he read to me. I remember stroking his arms as he read, enamored by the long silver hairs that grew across the sagging skin. One day, my intrusive thoughts took over, and I tugged the hair as I had always wanted to, and just as I expected, they took with them the skin, perking it up into what I believed to look like the peaks of a mountain landscape. Grandpa just yelled, "Ow, what are you doing?" To which I replied, "Look at Grandpa, I'm making mountains." He just laughed and told me to knock it off. "That hurts," and carried on reading. When my grandfather died, Sadie and I received a text from our former high school field hockey coach, telling us how sorry she was for our loss. At first, I was a little shocked that someone who we hadn't spoken to in years reached out immediately after seeing the news. And then I wasn't, partially because it is not so shocking at all for someone who mentored you for 4 years in a sport to reach out at the loss of a loved one, but mostly because Bill Borden was at every single home field hockey game for the duration of mine and Sadie's 7 years on the team. He was one of the most reliable figures in my life. He only needed to know our schedule, and we knew he would make his way, by walking of course, to the Keene High School fields for our game. He didn't have to dress in black and orange, yet he always managed to wear one of our old Soapbox Derby t-shirts or a flattened Keene baseball cap to show his alliance for the Borden sisters. He made sure we always knew he was there to root for us. Growing up, we would spend the night at Grandma or Grandpa's house when our parents had to go out of town. Once, when spending the night at Grandpa's house, Sadie and I were once again treated to SpaghettiOs. They were my personal favorite dinner, but not so much Sadie's, and she proceeded to throw up mutilated O's all over my favorite blanket I had brought to the slumber party. Once awoken, Grandpa jumped straight into action, throwing the blanket into the basement washer while I sat on top of the stairs. When he was done, he tried to usher me back to bed, but I told him I needed the blanket to sleep, and so he patiently sat with me on the stairs. I don't remember the blanket coming out, and so Grampy probably put me back to sleep while the washer tumbled on and I dozed off, but I just remember how patient he was with each of our demands, no matter how ridiculous. In the last few years, it has been hard watching the dementia creep into my grandfather's wonderful mind. Yet he was still there every single time I came home from school, with the same enthusiasm of a man who's been my cheerleader for my entire life. He wore every fleece, ball cap, and t-shirt he received with my university's logo, and he would be thrilled each time I came home to hear the stories of my time at school. I will miss him greatly, especially sitting around the dinner table as we all enjoy a meal together, but I'm glad to know that he's no longer in pain or suffering, and I'm excited to hear and share memories of him throughout the rest of our lives because Bill Borden was truly a great grandfather, father, and man altogether, and I'm excited to see everyone here to celebrate him.
Hi everyone, I'm Tasha. Grandpa definitely lived his life to the fullest in the most simple and unique way. If he was here today, he would probably say that it looks wicked good. I look back today and think of all the valuable lessons he taught me. He was one of the kindest and smartest people I know, and his generosity was limitless. I'd like to start by sharing a few fun memories and stories. Grandpa had a very unique way of making everyone feel special. I'll never forget all of the fun trips and adventures he would take us on. I can't believe he could put up with all of us grandkids at the same time. It must have been the SpaghettiOs and Ovaltine that he always had ready for us that kept us calm, or the endless games of Monopoly and other assorted board games he would play with us. When playing Monopoly, you would get special tips on how to be efficient with your money. I'm also thinking he probably wanted to kill us when we would do running, flying somersaults on the couch in the basement at his house in Westmoreland, or when we would slide on our stomachs down his stairs screaming all the way. And when things got too rowdy, one grampy holler and everyone was silent and listening. Grandpa used to take us fishing on many occasions. I can't help but remember one day when we were at Ashwheelet Park and we were fishing like crazy. He would bring a 5-gallon bucket to put the fish in so we could admire and count our fish at the end and then release them. I was fishing and definitely not paying attention, and suddenly Grandpa yells, "Reel that goddamn thing in." I grabbed the fish pole and he grabbed the fish pole and reeled it in as fast as he could. With a giant smile on his face, he said, "Whew, that was close." And he pointed into the water below, and there was the biggest snapping turtle I've ever seen. Grandpa was one of a kind, and you could count on him to be cheering you on at sports games, horse shows, and any other activities. He made sure to remind me on several occasions that it's not about winning, it's about having fun, and you can do anything you set your mind to. We used to attend a walking, running race once a year. He would always crush his age group and leave everyone astounded on how fast of a walker he was. His only goal, he used to say, was to beat me, but I swear he would always let me win. Even in his later years, walking around town was his favorite thing to do. You always knew he was out and about when you saw him in his bright orange coat strolling along, whether it was nice out or if it was raining or snowing. He will be greatly missed for his way of making something out of nothing, his strong handshakes, corny notes, his great puzzle skills, and his immense love for his family and friends. We love you, Grandpa.
Oh, this gets tougher and tougher. Okay. Who do we have next here? Oh, Jay. Here he goes.
Jay is good.
He's good. We didn't really figure this out ahead of time. Like we didn't
Oh,
have-
yes, we did. Yeah. You fake it. You fake it so you'll make it. That's what you have to do.
So I'm Jay, and hey, get out of there. And I'm going to speak on behalf of both me and my sister Kayla. I didn't really have anything that I wrote down. I was trying to prepare something, trying to think of a time with Grandpa or anything, and there were too many times to kind of come up with one. I think the biggest thing that I realized this whole time trying to come up with something to say about Grandpa was just realizing how much that he kind of did for all of us, or all the grandkids, and I didn't really fully grasp all of it until this moment trying to come up with something to say. So that was really kind of the biggest thing for me, was how much he did for all of us, between just taking care of us, staying with us, bringing us everywhere in his minivan, the entire crew of all of us. Oh yeah, and we were all perfect for him all the time. Yeah, that's all I really have to say, is that we're definitely all going to miss him, and he had a huge impact on all of us. Thank you. Hello, I'm Justin. I'm the eldest of the grandchildren, and I actually grew up in Utah, but my grandfather would fly me and my sister Alicia, my younger sister, out every other year for 2 weeks, and he would take care of us. So he'd take us with all the cousins and everything, and I share a lot of the memories that the other cousins do with Sheeprock, taking us swimming to James, and Mount Monadnock especially, which was a lot of fun. I do remember him sliding down a rock on his butt like a boulder, which was the first time I was scared for him, but he was super durable. I spent a lot of time with him the last few years, more time with him than I ever had while as younger, and I learned a lot from him. One, that he is all of our advocates, whether it's his friends or family. He wants the best for everybody. He wants everybody to be better, no matter what. He's highly encourageable. He's tough as nails. He'll be in your corner, and he'll literally fight anybody that gets in between his friends or family. Literally, yeah. And his hollering is enough usually to shut that down before anything would happen, anyways. But the last time I went to see him, he still had his slogans. We asked him how his cupcake was, because he had they baked these delicious cupcakes on Valentine's Day. When I asked him if they were good, he said "wee wee," and that was one of his favorite sayings. But gonna greatly miss him. I think we all appreciate everything he's done for all of us and how he's touched us, each and individually. The entire family and friends, co-workers, anybody he's dealt with, I think they know what I'm talking about. So thank you all for coming and enjoying his memory. Thank you.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Allie. I was kind of like Jay when I was thinking about our childhood memories of hanging out with Grandpa, and really, that's such a huge thing that I take away from it, is that he's the reason that we got to grow up with all of our cousins, and we really spent so much time together when we were younger, and those are the best memories that we have, is all of us cousins piling together for an adventure. And I was making a list of all these different memories that I have with Grandpa, and one of my favorite ones was on a Mount Monadnock hike, and I think it was probably just like me, Sadie, and Tasha, and Grandpa, and I had just gotten these brand new red Converse sneakers, and I thought they were the coolest sneakers ever, and I insisted on wearing them even though he said I was going to get blisters, and I fought through the hike, and I got to the top, and the whole way I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. I made it most of the way down, and finally I gave in, and I had to admit that I was dying. I couldn't do it any longer, and he carried me the rest of the way down. And that's Grandpa. He'd do anything for all of us, and he just wanted to see the beauty in everyone and everything. He'd always tell us we were the most beautiful ladies he'd ever seen. And, he was special. So thank you all for coming here to celebrate him with us.
Hello, my name is Sadie. I'm so glad that my grandfather, Bill Borden, wanted his grandkids to speak at his memorial because when we were sitting at his side as he was leaving this earth, I forgot my so many wonderful memories came to mind. My grandpa was a very astute and dedicated businessman. He had a successful business and worked hard to take care of his family. I did not know this except through stories because by the time that I knew him, he was just my fun, relaxed grampy. My grandfather knew how to entertain grandkids like no other. All of us got to experience so many fun adventures together. He would take us swimming at the Best Western with Tommy, loved bringing us to the beach and water parks. He took us skiing at Mount Ascutney. He taught us how to forage for fiddleheads, brought us blueberry picking at the Borden farm, although we probably ate more blueberries than we brought home. He had to be strong enough to take care of all of his grandkids on adventures up Mount Monadnock because grandchildren like me and Allie would refuse to go any further and make him carry us down the last mile to the car. He always followed us around with a smile on his face, picking up after us and wiping all of our noses with that nasty old handkerchief he always had in his pocket. My grandpa would cart us around to school, ballet lessons, field hockey practices. He always wanted to help out and spend time with us. As kids, we were always so excited for car rides with Grandpa because he had the ultimate grandpa vehicle, the big white van with the TV that came down from the ceiling. It was great for long car rides with crazy grandkids, except the grandkids with weak stomachs and the propensity to get car sick. But I have to hand it to him, no matter how many times I got car sick and puked either in or around that car, he still let me pick out a movie. He would bring us to Bob and Marianne Muha's office, his accountant and friends. There, I would get to hang out with Mrs. Muha, who had all the office supplies a young girl could ever imagine. We made spiral notebooks, photocopies of our hands, played with stamps, pens, everything. One day, Mrs. Muha asked me, "Sadie, is Grandpa going to walk you down the aisle at your wedding?" To which I horrifically replied, "He'll probably be dead by then." And Mrs. Muha looked on with horror, but my grandpa just laughed and he said, "She's probably right." Thankfully, that wasn't the case. I got married last year and he was there to see me off. I have so many memories of being at Grandpa's house, his old hexagon house in Westmoreland, and later the house on Castle Court. My memories of his house in Westmoreland are minimal because I was so young when he moved, but they were filled with fun and laughter with my siblings and cousins. I had fond memories of climbing up on the counters to get to the good stuff, the chocolate Ovaltine he kept in the higher shelves. I begged my mom for Ovaltine when I got home, but it just never tasted as good as it did at Grandpa's. He had an amazing greenhouse where he would teach us our first lessons in gardening. When he moved to Castle Court, he may have had to give away the carousel horses to the family, but the house still felt like Grampy. He had books piled high on his coffee table, puzzles on every table, and SpaghettiOs in the cupboards. He had an amazing vegetable garden out front and took great care of his houseplants. As his memory declined, his green thumb remained. It was almost comical walking into his house and seeing his propagated jade plants covering his entire house, planted in old milk, yogurt, peanut containers, you name it. We were constantly giving them away. I even took a couple to keep in my college dorm room. Grandpa was there for us for so long, and his memory will live on with us forever. It's hard to picture the future without him there, but I'm so glad we cherished the time we did have with him. I was so thankful for all the years where Grampy had his memories, but even when his memories were failing him, he always let us know that he loved us.
Hello. Welcome. I don't know what to say. Grandpa, really important, was a very special person. He took care of each of us in his own way, no matter what. As long as all he ever wanted was for us all to be kind to one another. And so that's what we're here to celebrate, is kindness and genuine relationships with one another. I wouldn't know my family if it wasn't for him, really. He brought us in. He brought, our family in. And he made us who we are today. And it's so beautiful to see so many people here to celebrate that about him, because he was one of the most giving people we'll ever know. And he's he's always going to be with us because he's made us who we are. And I appreciate all of you. And
Now that we got those little rotten grandkids out of the way, Grandpa loved the kids, and he had something for all the kids. Kayla was good because she kept all the other ones in line. Probably because she was the oldest. And then there was Chase. Chase could do no wrong because he always saw whatever little lady needed her arm held. And he would help her in church. He goes, that's good. Jay just showed up and was happy. That's what he loved about him. He's like, he has this big smile on his face all the time. And then Allie, she's just such a nice, kind girl. And on the other side, Sadie's a total rebel, but he loved it. And then Tia, we just have no words to explain her. Grandpa was just like, she's just full of life. Alicia, he said, she is just so good because she would go everywhere. She would come and see the other kids play sports and do stuff. And Tosh was his roommate. Everybody asks, who wants to be Grampy's roommate? And Tosh is like, I will. And we're all like, why? But she's like, we get along, And Justin, he was so good at just leading him around and, keeping him from fighting with his kid. When he was, Dad thought he was a little kid towards the end when Justin was taking care of him. And sometimes Dad would go, he did it. And Justin would go, nobody did it. It's okay. So I just wanted to mention, because he loved all the grandkids. And if I forgot anyone, whatever. Okay, so this day just kind of brings back a lot of memories of just a great dad. Our father, he was just always there through thick or thin. Whether you did things right or you did them wrong, he always backed you. I was his little girl, and of course, we all will agree I was the most spoiled. I got that award. Later in life, he'd go, Jesus, Cindy, I don't have any money. And I go, you know why, Dad? And he says, why? I go, 'cause you spent it all on me. I go, you spoiled me awful. And he'd look at me with a smile and go, good. So we realized that. He also offered his advice, but never expected us to actually follow it. He said, my old man gave me a lot of advice, and I'm going to give you advice. He goes, but I didn't really listen to everything my old man said. He goes, so you probably won't either. But we did. We listened to his wisdom because he was usually right. You'll usually get a speeding ticket if you're going over 60, We didn't know that before. Our father also believed in living life and enjoying it, and boy, did he live life. He was there to take us all skiing, and that included all our friends and our brother's friends. And he'd get a little ticked because sometimes he'd bring home the kids after the races and he'd put their skis in the snowbank, and we'd go to pick them up the next morning and they were still in the snowbank. And he'd be like, damn it, you're supposed to work on your skis before the next race. Don't let them be in the snowbank. He also, at the races, he always was a gatekeeper. And he froze his butt off. He froze his butt off every weekend, Cannon, Waterville, wherever we may have traveled from age 7 to 20. And then he'd give all the tickets he earned to Dave and Dan to go skiing somewhere. He never complained, and he did complain a little bit when I'd get hurt at the end of a race, and I'd have to go to the doctors. He'd go, Jesus Christ, Cindy, can't we get to Keene? You know, can't we go to Keene? Or wait till tomorrow. And I'm like, geez, Dad, I think it's broken. You know, there was a few occasions, you know, I got kicked by a horse and cracked my arm and my ribs. And I'm like, Dad, I think I really got to go. And he goes, you sure? And I'm going, yeah, I'm pretty sure. He goes, Jesus, Cindy, your x-ray file is bigger than most books. He goes, but you do a lot. That's probably why you get hurt a lot. He claimed later in life when he had his dementia that he really loved riding horses and motorcycles and all kinds of stuff that he never did. And he didn't really love the horses. He pretended well. I think he loved the people around the horses. He loved the competition, though, and I remember at certain times I'd say, geez, Dad, you know, I got the best damn horse there. Why didn't I win? And he goes, you can't win every time. He goes, they didn't like your horse. And I like, wow, that makes sense, I guess. He did travel. He pulled the horse trailer until I reached age 16 and got my license. And by that time, he had already taught me everything. And he said, good luck at the horse show. You can go all by yourself. And I'm like, okay, Dad. It was, he taught me everything. Just to head out on your own and do your own thing. It was the same way at the laundry. I would say to Dad, there's something wrong on the ironer. And he would reply, well, get up here and let's figure it out. That's who Dad was. He loved to teach us all lessons in life. He'd say it takes just as much time to do things right as it does to do it wrong. Put in the effort and do the job right. Dad also followed my soccer teams, and he cheered at every game, and he cheered for all my friends too, and he didn't always call them the right names. One of my friends, Shelly, he'd always yell, go, Kelly, go, go! And she'd call him and go, Mr. Borden, my name is Shelly, and he'd just smile. I think he did it just to mess with her. Same thing with my friend Shannon. One time we were trying to make a point with her mother that we were running away. So we ran up in the woods and we were watching them, and then finally Dad comes out and goes, Jesus, we can see ya. You can come down now. So he kind of put up with us girls being a little bit naughty. When I worked at the laundry is where I really started to understand how much respect people had for our father, but also how much respect he had for his employees. He was always trying to figure out how to do more for the people. And it could have been a ride home. You know, him and Clyde and Stuart, they would always line up and get all the old girls that had worked all night for him and give them a ride home or shake their hand or order them pizza. And it was always for his employees so they'd come back the next day and they wanted to work for his company. As he got dementia, he'd tell my husband Tim, he'd go, damn it, Tim. Tim would say, you get all the girls. You get all the girls, Bill. And he goes, oh no, Tim, you get them. You get them. And Tim goes, no, you're the magnet for the girls. And Dad goes, yeah, well, if you hadn't, gave me such a great job and so much money, I think them girls like the money, he says. So he is just such a fun dad, and he just did for everybody, and he didn't just do for us, which is a rarity. He did for everybody here. Probably at one time or another he did something kind for you. So if we can all just remember him as that, be thankful. Thank you.
Jeez, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. I'm going to do a little laundry dissertation. Bill is the businessman. The early years, Mrs. Rachel Marshall was his Simon school teacher. Bill was late for class because he had a paper route. Mrs. Marshall told young Bill, "You quit that route and get your butt in class on time, or else." That was the beginning. And they had just moved from Wisconsin, and he was in Simon School. And Rachel Marshall is famous. Her name's on the park down there. If you cross the bridge, you'll read about her. So I thought that was kind of cool. Bill operated a laundry service at UNH. I didn't know that. While he was in college, he would pick up and deliver personal laundry for different students. He sold corsages for the dances at UNH. His buddy Brownie took over the sales when Bill graduated, and he said it was quite lucrative, and he made a lot of money. When he came to the laundry, I just thought of these different little blurbs. That's all this is blurbs that he said at one time or another to some or all of us. His first job coming to the laundry after the service was finding the manuals on all the laundry equipment so he could fix it and maintain them. The new 1956 addition to the plant was a used building, disassembled in Massachusetts, trucked to Keene and resurrected by William Sr. and I guess Bill. I'm not. There's some story about him working the concrete finisher, and it's freezing and the thing runs out of gas or something. But that's why that floor, those who work there, is so rough in the middle. Bob knows what I'm talking about. Bill said to his dad, "We need a new folder." His dad says, "With that ironer, you don't need one." Bill says, "We need an ironer too." So it was always an eye on the next best piece of equipment. He says, "There's no difference between a Cylon versus a Super Cylon ironer. If you have 12 rolls to dry the sheets, the old ironers are better than the new ones." Bill said to Clyde one day, "Throw out all the personal work. Nothing but linen rental from now on." And that's what happened. It went from the personal laundry to linen rental. Linen rental. You can really make some money renting linen if you do it right. Where's Rich? Buy enough linen and do the work in 5 days. Beware of COG. They will work you 7 days a week, he said. And those were just some of the things that we heard over and over. Mike and Dan, they remember. Bill built the family house on Worcester Street, mortgaged it, and bought a 600-pound Washex float air washer extractor with the money. He fell off the ladder one day, reaching for something. The ladder went out, crushed his kidney. Clyde kept the laundry running in his absence. Things were pretty much the same when Bill recovered and came back to work. But that was a critical point in life. Some might remember it. Advice: buy used laundry equipment because used hospital laundry equipment because it's always lightly used, and they replaced it too soon, so you can get more money or more use out of it. And the better advice, though, later on was, forget the used equipment. You got money now, buy new stuff. Bill, and another little tidbit, won't mean much to most here, but Bill Borden spec'd out the 1981 edition at the laundry with 14-foot-high ceilings. That's how we got stuck with those. He said, "Learn about tunnel washers. They are the future. Work hard, and you won't have to worry about money. Don't be a greed." He bought a used boiler from Egan's Laundry in Newport, Rhode Island, delivered it to Keene, set it on the ground, then they built the building around it. That's the way it worked in those days. Clyde made everything perfect, or nearly perfect. Bill made the laundry make money. Shake feed is the way to operate an ironer, still used on ironer number 2 today. Bill pulled an advertisement for a computer out of the trash one day. He was quite dismayed that he missed that piece of mail. And he read it and he said, "This is what we need to invest in." Everybody went to programming class and learned computers after that. He tasked Mike with writing a program to help order linen based on sales. Years after those initial computers came along. How do you troubleshoot electrical problems, Dad? I asked him one day. He says, well, usually I tug on the wires. I'm looking for a loose one. And I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. This is my method, you know. I can see the schematic. I'm a smart guy. Teach me, Dad. And anyway, we all went to electrical class after that. He used to say, you gotta run the business good for 20 years before it'll take hold and last. And that meant a lot of hard work and sacrifice, employing the best people and being smart. Thanks, Bill, for a job well done. We enjoyed working with you. All right, Dan.
Yeah, I'm short. This is just a little blurb on Dad, and you know, just what he strived for all the time is to make somebody feel good. I mean, he lived his life helping people, and you know, whether it was like, hey, you know, good job there, hey, you looking good today, or sometimes that got out of hand, but he used to come up and eat at our house, and we always had the best meal. I mean, we were the best cooks, although I would cook it, and then he would thank Joyce all the heck after for making supper, and it was the best thing they ever had. And then I found out that he was telling Cindy the same thing. You know what? He was making Cindy feel good.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing.
How dare
And
Are
you sure? We'll find out someday. Yeah, right. You drive him home. Oh, I like your car. You drive this really good. You know, Joyce would be driving. She was the best driver in the world. Yeah. And so, yeah, you know, you'd go in the grocery store, and he had all these people in there that he knew, kind of, and he'd be going, hey, geez, you're doing a good job today. You know, he'd just make sure he'd tell everybody that. And so I didn't read anything I wrote. I just said stuff. So anyways, this one night, this is like the ultimate compliment. He's up there, and Joyce is like doing something with her hair, and she goes, oh, my hair is all messed up or something. And God, he looks at her, and this is like super something, you know, like he's got an opportunity here. And he looks at her, and he goes, God, your hair looks like you've been in the service for like 15 years. And the last 5 you've been on a boat with your hair in the wind. And we're sitting there going, how can this go like this? And you know, so you don't know if he was like he liked her hair a lot and that's why it looked that way, or whether he was giving her an excuse. But anyways, in the end, that made us feel good too. So that was about, yeah.
This was one of Grandpa's favorite stories. When he was playing football for UNH, he says we'd go into the cafeteria to get something to eat, and the big guy was with me, the big defense guy. And he goes, there was only 2 pieces of pie left. One was little and one was big. And he says, the big guy got the big piece. And I got the little piece, he says. He says, but we ate our pie, and he goes, when I got done, I felt great. He goes, and the big guy, he felt sick to his stomach. He goes, just remember, always take the smallest piece of pie.
Hello, all. My name is Ruth. I'm Justin and Alicia's mother with the dog. We're from out west, and first time I spoke with Bill on the phone, this is like mid-'80s, okay? That's great, that's great. And I told Doug, I go, he sounds just like Elmer Fudd, you know, because they are, you know. He'd call every couple months if we ever needed anything. Like Alicia said, our children, we're from Utah, may not have really known the Borden family out here in New Hampshire. And so I thought that was great. And so the first time we came out, I call it the Roundhouse. And it was so fantastic. We went to the apple orchard and the blueberry farm. Bruce drove the kids on the tractor, and I had to chase Justin around because he kept taking off. He was so funny. They were like 4 and 6, you know. So, and then we did the hike to Mount Monadnock, and that was really fun. And this other thing, when we were staying there, we got the kids some juice boxes, and I don't know if it was Justin or Lisa, couldn't poke the straw in the little carton. And he goes, let me see that. So he's squeezing it. He pushes the straw down. It goes, splashes in his face. And he got so mad at us. He thought we were playing a trick on him, you know, and we're going, no, no. And me and Justin and Lisa are laughing so bad. We're going, no, no, it was an accident. I think that's the maddest I've ever seen him. He's just like, whoa, you know, I'm like, oh, no. Anyway, he'd fly him out. He goes, we're going to do this every other year, Ruth. I said, okay, cool. And so we did, you know, and then Alicia went to Keene State College here. Justin lives here now. Anyway, so I guess actually I know everybody said it, but he's just a fantastic human being. Bill, we all love you and bless you. Thank you.
I had another note. I'm drilling the axle, which was never an easy chore, you know, for the cable attachment, and it was a small drill, probably a 16th-inch bit, and I remember just bearing down on that thing and you know, drilling metal was never great. You know, we never had good bits like we have nowadays, and all of a sudden the bit broke and it went right through his thumb, right through his thumbnail, and I remember just going, oh my God. You know, I just expected the explosion, you know, and he was just calm. He didn't even say anything, you know, and just put a Band-Aid on it, you know. It was kind of funny, you know, to see that happen. But yeah, soapbox. Oh my, yeah, he was a trooper on the trail there. All right. Well, if anybody else wants to say anything, you're welcome. The family's kind of.
As Dave just said, I was coach to all 3 of Bill's kids, and probably a few others here in this room. I see Paul Merritt over here, and Jim Geller down here. And, you know, it was a great, great time. Back in the early 70s, even late 60s, we started a little junior team up at Pinnacle Mountain. And I remember having the kids up there. They were kids to me then. Now I look at them and they're almost as old as me, not quite. But we called it the Federation team, and we skied against Temple Mountain, Pat's Peak, Wilton Toes over in Wilton, and a few other the small areas around. And I mean, it was a lot of fun in those days. And we all, I don't think we didn't take it very seriously, but we did have fun. And later on, I started teaching at Keene High in 1971, and I took over the team from Rufus Stacy, who had started the team back then. And I graduated from Keene High in 1966, and there was no team then. And when I came back after college, Rufus had started this team. So I had skied also for Keene State, and sort of jumped into helping him. And from those years, the boys and Cindy and the other kids who had started up at Pinnacle Mountain kind of migrated into the high school team. So that's how the high school team in those days really developed. And Bill, like everybody's been saying about him, his generosity and wanting to help everybody, he volunteered to be the chairman of our first Boosters Club for skiing at Keene High School. And back in those days, about the only teams that had Boosters Clubs were basketball, football, and baseball, because those were about the three sports that were actually played back then. But Bill wanted to make sure that the skiers got their due, and so he stepped in and started a Boosters program. And I remember in those days, all the timing, everything was done by hand, so you needed a lot of volunteers to run races. It wasn't like today where, you know, things are down to 1/100 of a second or less. And so, you know, there was a lot of time spent outdoors, cold weather, and Bill was always there in doing that. Over the years, as the kids all went further with their racing and grandkids came along and did a lot of racing, I was fortunate to get calls every once in a while from Dave saying, Chip, are you going to be at Centipede today? And I do hang out there quite a bit. And so, yeah, I'd say, I'm up here today. So he'd call me on my cell, and I'd run over and go watch a few of the races and see some of his kids ski and others ski. It was always such a great thing. And he'd always introduce me. He'd say, this is my old coach here, you know. and it was a great experience. I went up actually this year, and one of our skiers, Bobby Dumont, was there. His kids were skiing, and so I got to see that, and I found Bob and said hello to him. But so many of, you know, you guys that are here in those days, I thank you too for all being part of those memories. So most of my remembrances of Bill revolved around skiing. And one of my hobbies these days is actually playing guitar and singing. And I've sung in front of some pretty big crowds at Hillside Village, where I was on the board of directors when we first built that. And they invited me back several times to play and sing. And I didn't bring my guitar today. I thought that might be a little bit of an overdue. So I'm going to read you a little more of a song, but I'm going to say it rather than sing it. And it's called The Skier's Requiem. And if Bill were here, I'm sure he would like this, and he would get a couple chuckles out of it. It starts like this. Come fellows, just buckle my boards on. My ski poles stand by my side. I'm off for the Lord's own snowfields. I'm off for that last long ride. You can lie in your musty old graveyards, enjoying your eternal rest, while I ski a trail down some heavenly vale till the last sun sets in the west. In that land, there's no uphill climbing. It's downhill forever and I need never fear for the weather, because there won't be a cloud in the sky. My skis will never get broken, for there's no such thing as a fall. I never will hear of a frostbitten ear, and I won't get tired at all. The angels will cover the bare spots with plenty of soft powder snow. I'm leaving my gaiters and ski pass and all of my waxes below. I won't need my sealskins or creepers. My goggles and visors stay here. My old climbing pack will not burden my back, and I'll run down each trail free and clear. I won't take my ski cap or mittens. My shorts will be all that I wear. I won't have to take any toolkits, because my equipment will need no repair. But there's one thing that I will take with me, and let this be my last request. Be sure to put in my old white pin, for it shows that I was one of the best. In that land, there's no amateur rating. Each one is as good as the rest. The tempos and Christies come natural. Perfection's no longer the quest. I'll slither through heavenly powder till it smokes at the tails of my skis. There's nothing to learn, for I know every turn, and I'll use them with consummate ease. There's hot buttered rum at the day's end. a good song and many a jest. So I'll have no weeping or wailing when I pass over the crest of the mountain, into the valley beyond, where the heavenly snow calls up from below and beckons the tired skier on. So come fellows, just buckle my boards on, my ski poles can stand by my side. I'm off for the Lord's own snowfields, I'm off for that long last ride. You can lie in your musty old graveyards, enjoying your eternal rest, while I ski a trail down some heavenly vale till the last sun sets in the west.